Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're looking at the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Vegeta. This is the first appearance of Vegeta figure where he's got the armor and the tail and the scouter. He's not Super Saiyan, so people have been waiting for a black-haired version of Vegeta for a while, and this is it. And it happens to come with a slew of accessories as SH Figuarts continues to add more and more crap to their figures. And by crap I mean tons of good awesomeness. There's 4 faces in total, 2 different heads, 2 tails, folded arms, 6, 8, 10 hands total, and 2 blast effects, and a base. So just tons of junk. We're going to go through it all real quick. I'm going to do that before we look into the figure itself. He has the main blast effect, which is right here. That's supposed to go this way, facing this way. It doesn't have to though. As you can see, there's a little peg hole in the bottom. A little clear stand holds that up, so you can have him shooting like this, or have it like this, and then put this blast effect in front of it, which is how they have it on the package and all the promo pictures. So it looks like something like this if he's firing it, so that comes out of his hand, and then this one's out here. So that's kind of like a shockwave type thing, and that's the fireball. This also has a hole in it somewhere. There it is. And that goes in a little clear peg as well. They're nice and translucent with the white shading on them, which is kind of glossy. Looks really cool. And just to show you, I'm not going to pull the stand out right now because it's hard to see and there's really no purpose. I can just show you this. It comes with the base right here with 3 peg holes in the bottom, and it comes with 2 3 pivot stands, clear acrylic. They peg into the bottom and the top. So there's a hinge there, and there. And then you also have a larger one that is for the figure itself with the clip on the top. So that pegs in there to hold the figure up if you want it to. He would go on top of this piece here, and the clip just holds him there. And there's a pivot there, and they swivel. So really nice that it came with a base. Always like that. Other accessories include, well, first, this is the standard face, plain face. Nothing special to look at there. Then we also have the smirky face, where he's being snarky, or smirky, whatever you want to say. And then we have the vein in the forehead, angry face, yelling face, which is pretty cool. Can you see the vein in the forehead? That's a sculpted detail. I know it's kind of getting washed out by the lighting. Let's do that. There, you can see the vein there, I think. So that's pretty good. Looks cool. Nice paintwork on that. And lastly, we have one that I can't get out of the package. There it is. We have the eyes closed, I'm taking a poop face. If I can show you that. Come on. Focus. So there he's got a couple of drops of sweat on his brow. I wish I knew why the lights were acting so funky. You can see the sweat. It's actually painted on and sculpted. And then he's got his eyes closed and he's kind of wincing. Probably not really for I'm taking a poop, but whatever you want to do, that's that face. And those all just interchange on the heads. I say heads because there's 2, same way as always. They just peg in like the first Vegeta. There are 2 heads, they're identical except for the fact, hi cat, the only difference in the heads is that right here behind the ear on the other one, there's a little slot. And that slot is for his scouter, which is right here. It's made out of translucent plastic, and it's molded or painted white with gray to make it look like the scouter. And that's supposed to cup over his ear, and you can kind of see that slot behind his ear there and slot in there. The problem is it slots in just fine without the face on, but with the face it doesn't really fit properly. So you can really kind of force it in there and it'll stay in place if you're lucky and you don't break it. And the problem is though that it doesn't have the right angle and it really doesn't stay in place that well. Let me pop the head off and show you. Come on, head. Alright, so look, you pop this off, and you can see the slot in there. Right in there. And this slots in perfectly well without the face in place. Goes in, stays in place, looks perfect, but as you can tell, it doesn't leave a whole lot of room for the actual face. So you put the face on, you can't put it on and then put the face on because it's too big. So you put the face on, and then you want to pull the ear out just a bit, or pull the face out just a bit, and put this in. And you're going to have to really force it to get it to stay. And then you can push the face in place the rest of the way. And it does go over his eye, but it's not quite at the right angle, and it's right up against the face. It doesn't look as good as it could, which is kind of a bummer since that's a feature that most people were looking forward to. It's definitely passable though, so it's not a huge problem, just something to point out. Okay, and since we're still talking about accessories, this is the tail that wraps around the body. It comes off easily. That just pegs into a hole in the tail, and the tail itself pegs into his butt. So that just unpegs. We'll leave that on though. And then he also has a tail that is for when he doesn't have it wrapped around. So that just pegs in where the other one does, and there. It's not bendable or posable, unfortunately, which would have been cool, but the paint probably would have cracked, so I'm okay with that. And you already saw the faces, the two heads. He also has, just like Piccolo came with, and the Perfect Cell figure, he also has a batch of crossed arms. The paintwork on these isn't as good as it could have been. Why are the lights all crazy? Maybe that'll help. So there's a little bit of bleeding going on with the blues, and it just looks a little cheap, but it does work. You pop the arms off and cross his arms, and he looks like Vegeta. That's pretty much what he looks like, so it looks pretty cool. And now he has a whole bunch of hands. 2 fists, those come on him in the package. He has one hand with the crushed Scouter. It's translucent red here, and then it's painted to look like dirty white around his hand, so it doesn't just look like a giant block of white plastic or paint. He has one instant transmission hand. These are really hard to get out of the package, by the way. So one instant transmission hand, and then he has 2 of these hands. Alright, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put them right here and just show you one of each because they're doubles. Here's one of this for each side. I don't know why. These lights are driving me nuts. Maybe if I zoom in, will that help? No, what if I zoom out? That helps maybe a little bit. So he has 2 of these hands, one for each side, and he has 2 of these other hands, which are more closed, but still open a little bit, one for each side, and he has 2 of these hands, which are completely open, one for each side. So 10 hands in total, 4 faces, 2 heads, 2 blast effects, 2 tails, crossed arms, and a base, and a Scouter. You can't get more than that. So as far as accessories go, this guy is phenomenal. As far as articulation goes, he's pretty good. There's one flaw though. Well, 2 flaws, one in articulation and one in execution. The head articulation's fine, standard, just like the Goku figure. Come on, pop off. The neck is technically articulated, but it barely has any range of motion, so I think that joint is useless. The neck peg up here is a ball hinge with a peg on top, and it swivels around, so plenty of articulation there. These are not articulated. They look like they should be because it's a ball peg, but they're not. They're just separate pieces, and I assume they did that to make it easier to make the figure. But the problem with that is that they don't sit perfectly flush. Sometimes they come loose pretty easily, and then you have a seam. It's not horrible. And the paintwork's not the best, though. There's no white trim on some parts of it, so it's not ideal. It could be a little bit better. Otherwise, the paint is fantastic throughout the figure. The shoulder articulation is good as usual. His head peg is really tight, but that's good. So it has that ball hinge in there that lets it just swivel, or ball peg that lets it go all over the place. The shoulder has a ball hinge on it as well. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, and then the wrist has the same articulation as that blue neck peg up there. So good articulation there. The torso is as it always has been on the SH Figuarts. There's a double ball peg in there, one in the torso, one in the groin. You can separate that. Well, that's the legs that pulled, but the torso pulls apart also, and so you can lean him like that from side to side, and the armor will hide it for the most part, or you can just leave it down and it still is a double ball peg, so pretty good range of motion. The armor parts do fold so that you can move his legs around without them getting in the way. They are hard plastic though. The legs have that rotating or pivoting ball peg, so you can pull them down and swing the leg forward. It gives you plenty of range of motion for that. The ball peg snaps in there, and then you can swivel the thigh around that. The problem with this guy, I don't know why, I don't think it was an issue with the first release, and it's the same legs, is that it pops off really easily on both sides. They're all like that. I've gotten a couple of them, and they all have that problem. They're not loose to pose, but they do pop off easily. He has double jointed knees, and the standard double ball peg for the ankle with a toe pivot. So pretty good batch of articulation. Anything you want to do, you should be able to do pose-wise, and he looks good doing it. It looks like he came right out of the cartoon. I suppose the likeness could be just a bit better. Maybe not. Maybe it looks good. Every once in a while, I catch him at an angle where it looks like the hair pushes back too far instead of up, but it pretty much looks perfect, so I'm not going to really complain about that. Absolutely fantastic figure. I highly recommend it. Can't say enough good things about it. Just those few minor issues, and you will be happy. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. I don't know if I told you the height, so we'll go ahead and do that real quick before I say my finishing spiel. To the top of the hair, he's 6 inches tall. To the top of his head, he's about 5 1/4, so standard size. He probably should have been a little bit smaller since the first appearance Vegeta was really tiny. But what are you going to do? They can't remold every part for every single figure. So I'm okay with it. Really good figure, and I do recommend it. So now it's time for the spiel. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, more custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.